Emily Carter, 32, used to walk past the quiet old art gallery on Willow Street without giving it a second glance. But one rainy afternoon, something made her stop. Maybe it was the storm, maybe fate. Inside, she saw a man in a wheelchair, painting with one hand and petting a golden retriever with the other. His eyes didn't smile, but they held an ocean of stories. That man was Ethan Rivers, once a military hero, now a recluse. His legs were paralyzed in a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. But he never talked about it. He just painted, mostly pain, shadows, and occasionally, hope. Emily entered just to shelter from the rain. But her heart stayed behind forever. Over the following weeks, Emily returned. She brought books, cookies, stories, and laughter. Ethan gave her silence, glances, small nods, and eventually, a cup of tea he made with one shaking hand. One day, she found a painting titled "The Girl with the Umbrella." It was her. Standing outside his gallery that rainy day. The moment he saw her. Painted in colors she couldn't describe. That night, she cried, not for his pain, but for the beauty he carried silently inside. But every love story has a shadow. Enter Samantha Holloway, Ethan's ex-fiancée. Beautiful, wealthy, sharp, and cold as winter steel. She had left Ethan right after his injury, unable to live with a half-man. Now, seeing him happy again, with a simple girl from a simple life, burned her pride. She returned to town, pretending regret, asking for forgiveness. "You're marrying her?" A schoolteacher who reads to orphans, she laughed cruelly one day, cornering Emily. "You think love is enough? Wait till he needs care, injections, pain meds every night. You'll run, like I did." Emily's hands shook. "No. I'll stay. Like you never did." But Samantha had planted a seed of fear. One night, Emily saw Ethan crawling to the bathroom, gritting his teeth in pain. He tried to shut the door fast, but she had already seen it. He begged her not to look. "I'm not a man anymore, Emily. I can't protect you. I can't give you children." She sat beside him, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "You protect my soul. And as for children, we'll build a family, not just make one." But Ethan began to pull away. Not because he didn't love her, but because he did. He feared becoming a burden. The wedding date was set. Guests invited. Emily's white dress hung like a dream in her closet. But 1 week before the wedding, Ethan disappeared. No note. No call. His phone, switched off. His wheelchair, gone. Emily broke down. Searched every hospital, police station, shelter. Days turned to nights, but Ethan had vanished. Samantha visited, with crocodile tears. "I guess he chose the noble thing, to spare you a lifetime of suffering." Emily slapped her. "You didn't love him. You only loved your reflection beside him." Then, one child from her school whispered something. "Miss Carter, I saw Mr. Ethan. He's painting in the church basement." Emily ran. There he was, gaunt, eyes sunken, refusing to meet her gaze. "I'm dying, Emily," he finally said. "It's not just paralysis. The shrapnel from the war, it's moved near my spine. They say I may lose everything, speech, arms, life. I didn't want to cage you into this. I'd rather you remember me strong." She dropped to her knees. "Don't you dare decide my love's worth for me." Tears fell. "You don't get to leave me. Not when I'm choosing to stay." The wedding day came again. This time, in a hospital chapel. Just a few guests. A pastor. And love. Emily walked in, no makeup, no flowers, just fire in her soul. Ethan sat in a hospital chair, pale but smiling. A nurse stood behind him with an 4-pole. It didn't matter. They said their vows. In sickness and in health, in wheelchairs or on feet, in war or in peace. I choose you. When the pastor said, "You may now kiss the bride," Ethan gently pulled her close. A nurse helped. It wasn't graceful. But it was perfect. Months passed. Ethan didn't die. He fought. One day, he took a step. Then another. His physical therapy, fueled by love, showed results. And Emily? She stood by him through every painful grunt, every fall, every inch of progress. They started a center for war-wounded veterans and single mothers, naming it the Courage House. They also adopted a young boy named Leo, whose parents died in a car crash. He had one leg. But a heart full of wonder. Their family was now complete. Samantha's empire eventually crumbled in a financial scandal. Her pride destroyed, she came to the Courage House, to volunteer. Emily gave her a mop. No lectures. No judgment. Just humility. Months later, Samantha confessed in tears, "I was so wrong. You showed me what real love is." Emily forgave her. Because carrying hate only makes the heart heavier. 10 years later, Emily and Ethan celebrated their anniversary in that same backyard they once dreamed of marrying in. String lights. Music. Their son Leo playing guitar. Ethan stood fully now, leaning slightly on a cane. He held Emily and whispered, "I promise to walk again someday, not for me, but for you." She smiled through tears. "And I promise to stay, even if you never did." One rainy evening, Ethan sat in his art room alone. He opened an old box he hadn't touched in years. Inside it, a letter. Torn and yellowed with time. A letter from his army friend Jake, who had died in the same explosion that injured Ethan. "If you survive this, Ethan, live like you were never broken. Someone will love you not in spite of your scars, but because of them." Tears dropped onto the paper. Ethan whispered, "You were right, Jake, she found me." Emily entered quietly, watching him. She didn't speak. Just wrapped her arms around his shoulders and let the silence say what words never could. But fate wasn't done testing them. One morning, Ethan collapsed in the kitchen. Scans showed the shrapnel had shifted dangerously again. Doctors gave him a choice: a risky surgery with a 40% chance of paralysis from neck down, or live with constant pain and potential death in 2 years. Ethan said no. Emily, crying, pleaded. "Ethan, if there's a chance, take it. Don't do this for me, do it for Leo. For yourself." "I'd rather die holding your hand," he said. "But I'd rather live with your soul than your shadow," she replied. He finally agreed. Surgery was scheduled. The night before the surgery, Ethan sat with Leo in bed. The little boy asked, "Dad, are you scared?" Ethan nodded. "A little. Can I give you my courage?" Leo held out a small plastic soldier. Ethan smiled. "You just did." Meanwhile, Emily sat by herself, writing a letter, just in case. "If you don't wake up, Ethan, know this: you saved me. You taught me love is not perfect or painless, but real. And I'll carry your love in every sunrise I see." She sealed it in an envelope and kissed it. During the long surgery, something went wrong. The heartbeat monitor spiked. Doctors yelled. Then, silence. Ethan saw Jake again in a strange dream, standing in the same field they once patrolled. "Is it time?" Ethan asked. Jake smiled. "Not yet, brother. She's waiting." Ethan opened his eyes. Blinding white light. He was alive. Recovery was slow but miraculous. He didn't just survive, he walked again. Not perfect, but enough to carry Leo on his back and dance with Emily on their front porch. Months later, they renewed their vows, this time, both walking down the aisle, side by side, hand in hand, their son tossing flowers ahead. Guests cried, laughed, stood in awe as Ethan said, "I once thought I'd never be whole again. But love didn't just fix me, it rebuilt me." Emily smiled through tears. "And you rebuilt me, Ethan. One heartbeat at a time." Years later, an interviewer asked Emily, "What kept your marriage so strong through the hardest storms?" She smiled. "Because every morning, we choose each other again, not out of need, but love. Because real love doesn't rescue, it rises with you." And behind her, Ethan helped a young veteran onto crutches, whispering, "If I could rise, so can you."